Hey guys, Alessio, hope you're well. Do you remember this chart I showed to you in my video last week? Well, it turns out this entire wave count on my chart is actually incorrect. It is wrong. And this has now major consequences for Bitcoin. In fact, in this video, I'm going to explain to you there's some good news and there's quite a lot of bad news for Bitcoin as well. Join me. Alright guys, welcome back. Now, as you may remember, last week in my video, I showed you this wave count on this chart of Bitcoin, this long-term 10-year chart of Bitcoin, going back to 2011. And I said this particular wave count on this chart is the most likely, the most probable wave count for Bitcoin, being a 5-wave move for Bitcoin, taking us into a major wave 5 right now, and a wave 5 of 5 in the Bitcoin chart, taking us over 100,000. Now, it turns out that this particular wave count is now wrong. Why? Because you see, I assumed that the chart of Bitcoin only goes back to 2011. And actually, it turns out that's not the case. You see, many charts of Bitcoin only go back to about 2011. But actually, some of you said to me, hey, Alessio, you know, there's actually more data on the chart of Bitcoin. And you're absolutely right, guys. By the way, thank you very much for letting me know about this. In fact, it turns out there's more data on the chart of Bitcoin going all the way back to 2010, as you can see here. So I've actually pulled the data now on the chart of Bitcoin going as far back as we possibly can go on this chart, as you can see here. So going all the way now back to 2010, as you can see there. And I'm going to explain to you now, this has major consequences for Bitcoin. In fact, there's some good news, and yes, there's some bad news for Bitcoin as well, as a result of this new wave count I'm going to show to you in this video. By the way, I haven't actually shown to you yet the new wave count. This is just some of it. So I'm going to explain to you what the correct and the proper wave count is in my view. Before we begin, I realize some of you are watching my videos probably for the first time. Maybe you just stumbled upon this video for the first time, and you may not know actually what Elliott Wave theory is. So let me give you a quick explanation of what Elliott Wave theory actually is and why do we use it. Quite simply, in the words of one of the best Elliott Wave technicians out there, that's the analyst Robert Prechter, he says that Elliott Wave theory simply is the idea, a very simple idea, that market prices subdivide into 5 waves when they're going in the direction of one larger trend, and they subdivide into 3 waves when they're going against the one larger trend. And by the way, why do we use Elliott waves? One of the best things about Elliott waves, it is that it is the only method of analysis that gives you context. No other method of analysis gives you this. So what that means is, it's like having a map. Imagine having a map that gives you an idea where you are in the big picture. So in other words, it gives you an idea where you potentially are in the grand scheme of things. Okay, guys? So that's the beauty of Elliott waves. It is that it gives you an idea where you potentially are in the grand market map. Let's say, for example, that you believe you're in the beginning of a wave 3. Well, that means you're potentially in one of the strongest and most dynamic waves of the uptrend. Wave 3 is usually the strongest wave in a trend. Let's say, for example, you believe you are at the end of a wave 5. Well, in that case, that means you should be getting ready for a major bear market downward move, as you can see here in this ABC move to the downside. So that's the beauty of Elliott Wave theory, giving you context and giving you an idea where you potentially are in the grand scheme of things. It's worth remembering that Elliott waves are a bit like Russian dolls. So each larger doll has a smaller doll within that, and that has a smaller doll within that. And that is how Elliott waves are. Each larger wave has a smaller wave within that and a smaller wave within that. Okay, let's go back now to our chart. Again, as I mentioned, this chart I showed to you last week was incomplete. It didn't have all the data that I wanted to look at for the chart of Bitcoin. So I now must look at this chart you're seeing here, which gives us a more complete picture of Bitcoin going all the way back to 2010. And this now changes everything. Actually, I thought at the beginning that it didn't change much, but it does actually change quite a lot. By the way, in case you're wondering why am I using a line chart, the reason is that this particular line chart gives me more accurate, more reliable data. So it provides more reliable projections. So let me show you what I think this chart is now telling us. By the way, I haven't plotted all the wave counts yet. I'll give you a more complete picture of the wave counts in a few moments. But here's a question I want to ask you. As you can see here, plotted on this chart are waves 1 and 2 here. So our potential waves 1 and 2. This, I believe, was the first major impulse wave of a bigger 5-wave move. Now, have a look at this. If this is our waves 1 and 2, which I believe it is, by the way, and I want you to tell me where you think wave 3 is. Have a think for a moment, and we'll come back. All right, guys, did you figure it out? Now, my guess is that most of you watching this video, it's possible that you probably thought that wave 3 was here, this major wave up from here to 2013, and I'm guessing most of you probably thought that this would be, that this particular move up here to 2013 was a likely wave 3. Now, let me say this. I don't blame you if you thought that. That was my first guess too, but actually that's incorrect. It's wrong. Now, there's a lot of reasons for this. There's a lot of reasons why that's not wave 3. But let me just give you one important one. You see, that cannot be wave 3 here, because if that's the case, that would mean this would be wave 4 in 2015. And that would mean this would be wave 5. That would mean that the entire wave 5 move completed back here in the year 2017. That actually is incorrect. You see, guys, if that was the case, and that's not the case, by the way, but if this was a 5-wave move here to 2017, as I'm sure you know, after a wave 5, there is a severe and quite a deep ABC wave correction, what's called a bear market, as you can see here. So after we get our 5 waves up, as you can see on this chart, when the wave 5 completes, in other words, when the wave 5 of 5 completes here, then we get a severe correction, again, 3 waves to the downside, in this case, the ABC waves you're seeing here. And that wave actually is quite deep. So going back to our chart, if this was our wave 3 here, let's say that was 4 and 5, that would mean that the entire ABC wave correction, that large ABC correction, the bear market, was simply this, what you're seeing here on this chart. And guys, that simply cannot be the case. You see, that simply is not enough time. That is not sufficient time. And guys, remember, that correction, that drop in the price of Bitcoin lasted only 1 year. A 1-year correction for a 7-year bull market? No, that simply cannot be the case. So it's not sufficient time for a major ABC correction after a wave 5. By the way, there's actually a much better explanation as to why this cannot be the correct wave count. This cannot be a wave 5 here. I'll explain that to you, by the way, in the member video tomorrow on Sunday. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, if that's not a wave 5, then perhaps the correct wave count is here. Maybe this is a wave 3 over here. No, as I'm sure you know, wave 3 is composed of 5 smaller waves, as you can see here on our chart. But if you look at this chart, if this is our wave 3, which by the way, it's not, okay, it's not the case. But if this was wave 3, then how many major subwaves do we have here? All we have are 3 waves up, as you can see here. And that cannot be the case. Wave 3 is composed of 5 subwaves, not 3 subwaves. So that cannot be the case. And guys, this cannot be the correct wave count either. So what is the correct wave count? All right, guys, what you see here on this chart is now my higher probability wave count for Bitcoin from a long-term perspective, going all the way back from the beginning from 2010. By the way, I realize this wave count looks crazy. It looks mad. But stay with me, because in the words of my favorite detective, Hercule Poirot,
but I can assure you, behind my madness is method.
Yes, as Poirot says, there is method to my madness. So stay with me. I'm going to explain to you why this wave count, in my view, is the correct wave count, the higher probability wave count. So what I have here on this chart, guys, are 3 colors. So you see red, yellow, and white. The red numbers, the red wave counts, show to you the large major waves. Okay, so here's our waves 1 and 2 from 2010 to 2011 and 2012. And then from here, essentially from the end of 2011, we began a major wave 3, as you can see here, a major wave 3 to the upside. And yes, guys, we're still in this major wave 3 at the moment. This is, by the way, this wave is going to take us potentially above the 100,000 level, okay, potentially by next year. Now, you can see within this larger wave 3, we have another subwave shown to you in the yellow colors. So the yellow colors now will show to you the subwave within that larger wave 3. So we have now our 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Notice, by the way, the yellow impulse waves, the waves 1, 3, and 5. They are composed of 5 smaller waves, which, by the way, are the bull markets in those years. Notice the first wave 1 here, the first 5 waves up, was the bull market from 2011 to 2013, as you can see here. Then we had a correction, as you can see here, an ABC wave correction, as you can see here, ABC. That was the corrective wave 2, the bear market from 2013 to 2015, the beginning of 2015 here. Then the major bull market, the one that took Bitcoin from really about $100, $200 all the way to nearly $20,000 by the end of 2017 here. And then another major correction, the wave 4, that's the yellow wave 4, as you can see here on Bitcoin. And then we started another major bull market here, and that's our current wave 5 of 3 at the moment. So as you can see here, guys, we're now in the yellow, the subwave, wave 5, of a much bigger wave 3. Actually, to be more correct, to be more exact, notice the white numbers here. So again, a smaller wave 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4 And now we're in the smaller wave 5 of a much bigger wave 5 shown to you in yellow. That's going to take us potentially over $100,000, likely by next year. In this much larger wave 3, you can see here, that's shown to you in red. So again, let's just do this one more time. Again, show this in red. So waves 1, 2, 3, and the subwaves within that, the waves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we're in the subwave, the yellow wave 5 of a much larger wave 3. And yes, guys, you've guessed it. We're now likely here in our larger Elliott Wave map. So this is the beauty of Elliott Wave theory. It gives an idea where we potentially are in the grand scheme of things. So rather than being lost, completely lost as to where we are in the big picture, now we have a clear idea, a high probability idea of where we potentially are in the Bitcoin Elliott Wave map. So I think on the balance of probabilities, we're very likely here. In the wave 5, I think we're in progress still. I think this wave 5 is still in progress of a much bigger wave 3. So again, just to recap, I think we're in the wave 5, the last major wave of a major, bigger wave 3 that's going to take us over $100,000, potentially by next year. By the way, I want to be clear about this. I'm not saying that this wave 3, this larger wave 3 move, is going to complete at exactly 100,000. I think likely we could move above $100,000. Okay, so that's the main thing I want to point out here. But I'm sure you've guessed now what I'm going to say next, because look, there's some good news and there's some bad news. Which one do you want to hear first? Let me give the good news first. So the good news, obviously, is that we're not going to suffer this major catastrophic scenario you're seeing here, because that was my original wave count. This wave count is, by the way, no longer correct in my view. And by the way, if this was true, that would mean we would be in the last major wave 5 of 5, taking us over $100,000. And that means what? That means we would have been here in the wave count picture. In other words, as I explained to you last week, we would be in the wave 5 of 5, and that means, yeah, a catastrophic ABC correction, a major bear market correction that would have taken Bitcoin significantly lower in a long-term bear market. Now, that would have been a severely bad situation for Bitcoin. However, guys, don't celebrate just yet, okay? So don't get too happy just yet, because even though we're not potentially in this situation here, I don't think we are in the major wave 5 of 5. Again, I think we are here in the major wave 5 of 3. I think we're in this situation here. So again, don't celebrate just yet, because even though I don't think we're going through this situation, again, this bear market situation here, but I think we're going through this bear market situation likely in the near future. By the way, not this year. I'll come to this point in a few minutes. But I think we're heading towards this wave 4 correction, which, by the way, is going to be composed of this, as you can see here, of this ABC move itself. Again, a major wave 4 correction taking us significantly lower. So again, don't celebrate just because we're going through a wave 4 correction as opposed to an ABC after a wave 5. I know it looks better. I know this actually looks a bit better from a chart perspective. But guys, this wave 4 correction, let me just remove all this for a moment. So I know this wave 4 correction looks better than compared to this, right? But again, please don't celebrate, because it's a bit like saying, which one would you prefer? Cow manure or horse manure? Well, they're both pretty bad, right? I mean, cow manure, horse manure, they're both going to smell bad. But I'm going to guess that horse manure probably might smell better. So again, both of these are bad, whether it's a wave 4 correction or whether it's a major ABC wave correction that you're seeing here. Doesn't really matter. The fact is, even if it's a wave 4 correction, please don't think this is going to be no big deal. No, it's a big deal. So I think that this wave 4 correction, when it begins, in other words, when this wave 5 of 3, when this major wave 3, and I think we are in the wave 5 of 3, as you can see on a chart, I believe we're in the wave 5 of 3. If we are likely here, all right, that means when this wave 5 of 3 eventually completes, likely over the $100,000 level, I think likely in the near future, again, not this year. I'll explain to you when I think this likely will happen in a few moments. But here's the major thing. When this wave 5 of 3 completes, then I think we're going to begin a major, devastating wave 4 correction. And this, by the way, is going to make the price of Bitcoin significantly cheaper. Okay, so again, don't think this wave 4 correction is no big deal. No, it will be a big deal, and the price of Bitcoin will get cheaper. So that's also a bit of bad news. But here's also some good news. The other good news is that if you missed your chance to buy Bitcoin cheaper at lower prices, okay, then this wave 4 correction, this major downward move, which by the way will feel and look like a bear market, okay? So when this wave 4 correction actually happens, it will feel and look like an actual bear market. Even though it is a wave 4 correction, it will make the price of Bitcoin significantly cheaper, which by the way is some good news as well, because eventually when this wave 4 correction, when the C wave of 4 completes, that will become a major buying opportunity. In fact, that will be another point where I'll be looking to buy Bitcoin again. By the way, I want to make sure this is very clear. This wave 4 drop, wave 4 correction, is not going to be only a few months. This will be many years. So I want to be very clear about this. This wave 4 correction that you're seeing here, that's going to take many, many years to play out. So if you think about it, guys, we've been in an 11-year bull market in Bitcoin. So if you think about it, the next major wave 4 correction will be a correction to a long-term bull market. So it's not going to be a few months. This is going to take potentially many, many years. And I think, by the way, this wave 4 correction is going to be frustrating, it's going to be devastating. And yes, guys, by the time this C wave of 4 completes, many people, many folks out there will have given up, will have lost hope, and they will be completely unaware this wave 4 correction will be a major opportunity to get long on Bitcoin again. In other words, to buy Bitcoin at lower prices, at much cheaper prices than it is now. And by the way, guys, that means this. Here's some good news. When the wave 4 completes, when the C wave of 4 completes, then we're going to get ready for that next major bull market that you can see here, this next major wave 5. And by the way, guys, this next major wave 5, I think could take us over the $200,000 level on Bitcoin, likely over $200,000, over $250,000 on Bitcoin in the long term. Again, I cannot predict right now how long it will take for us to get there, but I think it's going to take several years. The same way I said that I think this wave 4 correction is going to take several years as well. So that's the main thing. Now you're probably thinking, okay, well, how can we know that this wave 3, this wave 5 of 3 is going to complete, and then we're going to start this major wave 4 correction? As I explained in my previous video, I think this wave 5 of 3 is going to complete only after, I think, once we get past the $100,000 level, but also very importantly is sentiment. Public opinion sentiment has to become so bullish, so euphoric, so extremely euphoric that everyone will become a bull. The majority of the world will become super bullish and absolutely euphoric and greedy on Bitcoin. We're not there yet. Okay, guys, we're not even close to that just yet. So you're going to see a lot of videos on YouTube about how to get rich on Bitcoin, how to make wealth in Bitcoin, all that garbage and rubbish. Forget that. So that's how you will know when you're getting close to the wave 5 of 3 completion. And we're not there yet. We will get there likely next year. And by the way, guys, here's some more bad news. When I showed you this wave count last week, well, I thought, you know what, based on this wave count, that the wave 5 of 5 could take actually a couple of years to complete. But because the wave count has now changed, that's not the correct wave count anymore. So this is now the correct wave count. That means my time perspective has now changed as well. So from a time perspective, guys, I think that the wave 4 correction, the next major wave 4 correction is going to come, what I'm showing to you here. I think this next major wave 4 correction is likely to begin not in the next 2 years, but likely in the next 12 to 18 months. Actually, it could happen potentially by the end of next year. If I want to give you a more precise projection as to when that's going to begin, I think it could begin likely at the start of the next major bear market in stocks. As you may remember from my previous video, I mentioned that I think we're heading towards a major economic depression and recession in the stock markets and in the economy. Again, I think in the next 12 to 18 months. So basically, when the economy and the stock market goes through a major economic recession, and I would say depression and a bear market, I think that's about the same time when Bitcoin could likely begin its major wave 4 correction that you're seeing here on our chart. I think they will happen at the same time. And by the way, I'm making a video about that very soon. It's coming soon. So let me be clear about this. I still think this wave 5 of 3 has a lot more upside to go, likely by next year, over $100,000 on Bitcoin. So we're not there yet. I'm not saying that the wave 5 of 3 is going to complete very soon or this year. So I think we still got more upside to go in this wave 5 of 3. By the way, guys, make sure you join me in the Sunday members video tomorrow, because I'm going to give more precise projections as to when I think this wave 5 of 3 is going to complete. So we'll look at more precise projections. And also I'm going to explain how low this wave 4 correction could go. So our projections and targets for this wave 4 correction. All right, guys, we'll cover this in the member video tomorrow on Sunday. And again, if you're not a member, you can join on that link you see right there. Thank you very much indeed. Bye for now.